The clock starts ticking. Valana stood silently as the flames danced in the cold air. Her husband's body had turned to ash, drifting into the purple skies of the alien burial grounds. The ritual was over. But for Valana, something worse was about to begin. According to Galactic Law 7-19, a widowed female of her species had only 3 days, 72 standard hours, to remarry or else be exiled. Exile didn't mean moving to another home. It meant being sent to Crix 9, a dead planet, where no one survived more than a week. She had no brothers left, no family, no one of her own kind she trusted. And in this galaxy, a noble widow like her was just a prize to be claimed by greedy men wanting power. Valana clenched her fists as the ceremonial robe fell from her shoulders. People bowed in respect, not out of love, but out of fear and tradition. The countdown had begun. She had 3 days to save herself. Or die. 2 decks below, in the human sector of the space station Arcadia Prime, Daniel Ward was fixing a drone's limb. Sparks flew as he welded a broken joint. The drone had fallen during a supply run. Daniel, a repair technician, wasn't a hero or soldier, just a quiet, stubborn human who liked to fix things. He never liked the alien laws. They felt ancient, cruel. But he kept his opinions to himself. That's when he heard hurried footsteps. He looked up and froze. An alien woman, tall, graceful, with glowing violet eyes and silver facial markings, was running straight at him. Her breathing was heavy. Her skin shimmered slightly under the hallway lights. Her cloak was torn. She stopped 2 feet away, stared him in the eyes, and then dropped to her knees. "Marry me," she said, her voice breaking. "Please. I will cook for you. I will clean. I will warm your bed. Just, please marry me." Daniel blinked. Wait, what? People around them turned. Someone gasped. A few started recording on their holopads. Valana lowered her head. "You are human. You don't care for my bloodlines or ranks. You're not like them." Daniel crouched, trying to understand. "Who are you?" "I am Valana Veloth, widow of General Kale, House of Lightfire. I have 71 hours left before the exile squads come for me." Daniel looked at her face. She didn't seem like a liar. Her hands were trembling. "I don't even know you," he said softly. "I don't need love," she replied. "I need a name, a husband, just long enough to escape the law." The next hour passed in a blur. Daniel sat with her in a side room, offering her water. She refused food but took the drink. She explained everything, how her kind had strict marriage laws, how exile meant death, and how some aliens would marry her just to claim her lands, her late husband's honor, or her body. "I'd rather sleep in dirt next to a kind man," she said, "than live in silk as a slave." Daniel felt a strange pull toward her. She wasn't begging like a coward. She was choosing her own fate, even if it meant humbling herself in front of a stranger. "I can't just marry someone I met 5 minutes ago," Daniel said. She looked him dead in the eyes. "Then don't. Do it for me. Do it to destroy their law. Do it because you can." Later that evening, Daniel sat alone in his cabin. His mind raced. He had no family either, no wife, no long-term plans. But this woman, this alien, was real, brave, desperate. And she had asked him, of all people. He looked at the marriage documents she left. All it required was a biometric signature and a short bonding ritual. It would be registered, galaxy-wide. "I will warm your bed." The words haunted him, not because of the offer, but because of the pain behind them. He stood up, walked to the door, and opened it. Valana stood there, her eyes already wet. She had been waiting. "I don't need a wife," Daniel said. "But maybe you need a chance." He took her hand. "Let's start there." Far above, unseen from the human decks, a dark figure stood on a surveillance platform, watching their interaction on a screen. He snarled. "Valana has chosen poorly," he said, "but she will not escape fate." His eyes glowed red, and he turned into the shadows. A deal or a trap? Daniel Ward wasn't the kind of man who believed in fairy tales or alien romances. But by the time the artificial sunrise lit up Arcadia Prime's human sector, he was already knee-deep in one. He had done it. His biometric signature was now bound to an alien widow, Valana of House Lightfire. The registry had accepted it. Galactic. Law now recognized them as husband and wife. But something felt wrong. Not about Valana, but about everything else. The moment their union became public, Daniel's door hadn't stopped buzzing. Alien officials showed up to confirm the marriage. Human soldiers gave him suspicious looks. A female officer from the Alien Law Corps interviewed him like he was a criminal. And then came the gifts. A small crate arrived. Clothes for Valana, traditional bonding jewelry, and a strange metallic ring with sharp tips. Valana stiffened the moment she saw it. "What is this?" Daniel asked, lifting the ring. Valana looked away. "It's a bond claw. In my culture, it's used on wedding night." "To hurt?" She didn't answer. Daniel placed it back. "I didn't agree to anything like that. We said this was only to save your life." She nodded slowly. "Yes, a deal. But now, eyes are watching." Later that day, they were summoned to Deck 11, the binding court, a ceremonial place used for confirming alien marriages. Valana walked beside him in silence, wearing a simple white robe given by the council. Her body looked regal, but her steps were cautious. As they entered the court, Daniel noticed something odd. Only alien males were present. No humans, no females. All of them wore noble badges. Many of them whispered as Valana passed. At the center stood an older alien male with burning gold eyes. "Daniel Ward," he said, "you are either a fool or a thief." Daniel narrowed his eyes. "Excuse me?" "You stole what others waited years to earn," the alien growled. "Do you even know what your bride carries?" Daniel looked at Valana. She wouldn't meet his gaze. The elder stepped forward. "Your bond makes you the legal heir to House Lightfire's holdings, land, ships, military contracts. You are now a political figure, whether you like it or not." Daniel took a step back. "That was not part of the deal." "Then tear it up," the elder hissed, throwing a sharp ceremonial dagger at his feet. "Cut the bond before it's too late." Daniel glanced at Valana. She still hadn't looked at him. "Tell me the truth," he whispered. "Was this just a way to transfer power?" She finally met his eyes. Her voice was soft but honest. "No. I chose you because you were the only one not reaching for my crown. Just my hand." Back in their shared quarters, silence hung like a fog. Daniel sat on the edge of his bunk, staring at the glowing bond mark on his wrist. It shimmered every time he was near Valana. "You didn't tell me about the inheritance," he said. "I didn't think you'd care." "You were right." A pause. "But I care now." Valana finally spoke. "When my husband died, the vultures, gathered before his body, turned cold. You were the only man I'd seen on this ship who fixed things with his hands instead of trying to own them." Daniel looked at her, his voice low. "I don't want to be a prince. I don't want to be a bond." She stepped closer. "Then don't be." Their bond mark pulsed again, brighter this time. Valana hesitated, then said, "They're testing us, watching to see if this marriage is real. If they think we faked it, they'll take everything, including my life." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "So what now? Act like we're in love?" Valana stepped even closer. "No," she whispered. "Make them believe we are, or they'll turn our deal into a trap." Meanwhile, far below in the shadows of Deck 13, the surveillance bounty hunter stood with a hooded figure. "She married a human," the stranger said. The bounty hunter smiled. "Yes, but love can't grow in lies." He pulled a small, pulsing orb from his belt, an ancient tracker that locked onto soulbound DNA. "We'll let them bond deeper," he said. "Then I'll break him." The hunter's eyes glowed cold silver. "And when she begs for mercy, I'll be waiting." The hunter from her past Valana woke in the middle of the night, her body frozen in fear. Not from the cold, not from the artificial lights above, but from a sound. That sound. A low hum. Like metal grinding on bone. Slow. Heavy. Familiar. Her breath caught in her throat. Her fingers gripped the sheet tighter. She knew that sound from long ago. From the battlefield. From the old life before her husband's death. He's here. Daniel was still asleep on the other side of their shared cabin. He had kept his distance since the court hearing. Not angry, but guarded. Cautious. Valana sat up quietly, walked to the mirror and touched the glowing mark on her wrist. It pulsed softly. A fake bond, they had called it. But this bond was starting to feel strange, warmer, alive. She shook her head and reached for her robe. She had to know if he was truly here. Far below, in the darkest part of Arcadia Prime, where service tunnels led to locked hangars, Torvak, the ancient bounty hunter, studied a hologram of Valana and Daniel. He zoomed in on the human's face. Young, unimpressive, mortal. He doesn't deserve her blood, Torvak growled. Torvak had once fought beside Valana's husband in the War of Nine Suns. He had seen her command ships, crush rebellions, and burn traitors alive. She was royalty. She was fire. Now she was married to a human repairman. He couldn't allow it. He activated the soul tracker again. It glowed red. She's still marked by the past, he whispered. And I am that past. Meanwhile, Daniel woke to find Valana missing. He rushed out, barefoot, scanning the corridors. The security system beeped and tried to scan his movement, but he waved it off. He found her near the observation deck, staring out into the stars, shoulders tense. You're not safe, she said without turning. Daniel approached slowly. What's going on? Valana finally turned, and this time Daniel saw it. Fear. Real fear. There's someone on this ship, she whispered. A warrior who once swore loyalty to my husband. He believes I've shamed the family name by marrying you. Daniel crossed his arms. So now I have a bounty on my head? No, she replied. I do. But he'll go through you to reach me. Back in their cabin, Daniel locked the door, then sat across from her. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Because I thought he was dead, Valana said quietly. He vanished years ago. Some say he lives like a ghost, only appearing when royal blood disrespects tradition. Let me guess. Daniel sighed. You marrying a human counts as disrespect. To him? Valana laughed bitterly. It's the ultimate betrayal. Daniel rubbed his temples. Okay, so what do? We prove our bond is real, she said. We make the council believe this marriage wasn't a lie. Daniel looked at her seriously. And if it is? Valana hesitated. For the first time, her voice broke. I don't know anymore. That night, Valana had a nightmare. She was back on the warship, her late husband's body beside her. Torvak stood above her, his blade coated in blood. You broke the bloodline, he growled. You let humans inside our halls. She reached for a weapon, but it melted in her hands, and Daniel stood behind her, whispering, I don't even know who you are. She woke up screaming. Daniel rushed to her side. She was trembling, soaked in sweat. I can't do this, she whispered. I can't watch you die because of me. Daniel held her hand firm and calm. I fix broken things, remember? He said. Let's fix this too. But outside their room, a hidden surveillance drone hovered. It had recorded every word, and, deep in the shadows, Torvak grinned. She still bleeds like one of us, he murmured. The drone returned to him, its memory full. Torvak opened a locker and pulled out a black box. Inside lay an old weapon, a curved blade etched with Valana's family crest. He kissed the steel. I'll take her home, even if it means carrying her body. Bound by firelight. The power flickered, The artificial lights on Deck 9 dimmed for a moment, plunging the station into darkness, just long enough to make everyone stop and look up. Daniel stood at the window of their small cabin, staring into the stars. Behind him, Valana sat near the room's low heater, where a soft orange glow cast warm shadows across the floor. She had removed her official robe and now wore a plain gray tunic, human-made, simple, soft. Nothing like the noble armor she once wore. For the first time since the ceremony, she looked small, not weak, just human. "I don't like this quiet," Daniel said, folding his arms. Valana turned toward him. "The quiet is the only thing I trust." He raised an eyebrow. "Why's that?" "Because the louder the world gets, the more lies you hear." A few hours earlier, they had received word from the registry. A final inspection team would arrive the next morning to verify the bond, to test if it was real. If they failed, Valana would be arrested and Daniel would be accused of conspiracy. "Guess we'll have to act like we're in love again," Daniel muttered. Valana's lips curved into a tired smile. "No. Tonight, I want to rest without acting." She reached beside her and pulled out a small metal device. A flat disc. She pressed it and a soft flame rose from its center, dancing like a real fire. Daniel stared. "That's not legal on this deck." "It's not real fire," she said. "It's just memory." She set the disc between them. Glowing embers floated above it, lighting her face. Her alien markings reflected the warmth, softening the sharpness of her features. They both sat near it, across from each other. Valana spoke first. "My first husband wasn't cruel, but he didn't see me. He saw a throne, a name, an empire. He made me into a symbol." "And now?" Daniel asked. She looked at him. Her voice dropped. "Now I'm a warning, a reminder that even the highest can fall." Daniel leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "Do you regret asking me?" Valana looked down at her hands. "I regret being desperate, but I don't regret that it led me to you." He paused. That was the first time she'd spoken gently to him without tension in her voice. "Funny," Daniel said. "You're the one with royal blood, super strength, perfect memory, and somehow I'm the one who gets to protect you." Valana smirked. "You're the only one who chose me when I had nothing left." Silence. Warm silence. Then, the bond mark on their wrists pulsed. It glowed. Just once, but with a softness neither had felt before. "I thought this mark was just a trick," Daniel said, touching it. "It reacts to connection," she replied. "Real emotions, real warmth." Daniel looked into her eyes. "What is it reacting to now?" Valana didn't answer with words. She reached across the firelight and gently placed her hand over his. It was small, delicate, but it didn't shake. "I'm tired of pretending," she whispered. "Let them see what they want tomorrow. But tonight, let this be real." Outside, in the far-off tunnel corridors, footsteps echoed. Torvak was here. He walked slowly, dragging a long-bladed staff behind him. Each tap on the floor sent vibrations through the walls. He didn't rush. He knew where she was, knew what she was doing. The soul tracker around his neck pulsed faster. She was bonding, falling deeper. His voice hissed in the darkness. "She forgets who she is, but I will remind her. I'll burn the lies out of her." Back in the cabin, Daniel and Valana now sat side by side, leaning against the wall. The fire disk flickered, low. She rested her head on his shoulder. He didn't move. "You know," Daniel said softly, "you're kind of annoying when you're not trying to kill anyone." She smiled. "You're not so useless for a human." "Thanks. I'll get that printed on my tombstone." Her laughter was light, real. He hadn't heard it before, and somehow it felt like the most precious sound in the galaxy. But the flame between them sputtered suddenly, flickered, then died. Valana sat up. "That's not normal." Daniel stood, Moving to the control panel. Power grid's fine, no system errors. She looked around. Her senses sharpened. Her heartbeat changed. He's near. Daniel's hand reached instinctively for the hidden pulse pistol under the bed. Then let him come, he said. I'm done running. Valana stepped beside him, the bond mark between them glowing bright once again. She whispered, almost like a vow. This time, I'm not losing the one thing that made me feel alive. Betrayal on Deck 7. The inspection began at dawn. 3 council officers, 2 aliens, 1 human, arrived with cold eyes and colder questions. Their job was to test the truth of the bond between Daniel and Valana. They scanned their wrists, checked their living quarters, measured biological signs, heart rate, breathing, emotional resonance. It's like being judged by robots, Daniel muttered under his breath. Valana didn't laugh this time. She just stood tall, calm on the outside, but inside, her nerves coiled tight. She could feel that someone was watching, someone not from the council. Hours later, they were summoned to Deck 7, a level usually reserved for diplomatic guests. When the door opened, Valana froze. Waiting there was a woman, human, tall, confident, wearing a red uniform with a silver phoenix crest. Daniel blinked. Ilara? Valana's eyes narrowed. You know her? Daniel scratched the back of his neck. Yeah, we worked together months ago. She's with the Intergalactic Trade Guild. Ilara smiled sweetly, but it didn't reach her eyes. Hello, Danny, she said. Or should I say, Prince Daniel now? Valana immediately sensed the threat. This wasn't a friend. Ilara stepped forward and offered a hand to Valana. I speak with your husband privately. Valana didn't flinch. No, Daniel looked between them. Ilara, what are you doing here? She dropped the smile. Saving you. That's what. They moved to a private room, but Valana refused to stay behind. She stood beside Daniel, unblinking. Ilara placed a black tablet on the table. She tapped it, and a grainy video played. It was Valana, weeks ago, standing in a market, talking to a known alien smuggler. The audio was low, but one phrase was clear. I'll find someone, anyone. Just make sure the council approves it. Daniel's stomach dropped. He looked at Valana. She didn't say a word. Ilara, he said slowly. What is this? Set up, Ilara said. She planned it all. She was shopping for a husband like she was buying fruit. You were just convenient. Valana finally spoke. That video is real, but you don't know what I said before it, or after it. Does it matter? Ilara asked, voice sharp. She tricked you, used you, and now she has access to weapons, land rights, and trade routes your people could never touch. Valana turned to Daniel. Her eyes were glowing now, but not with power. With pain. I asked a smuggler for help, she said. Yes, I was desperate. I knew my time was short. I told him I would choose someone kind, someone who wouldn't use me. Daniel didn't answer. Valana stepped back. I didn't fake my feelings, but maybe I hoped too hard you'd believe them. Ilara smirked. You can end this right now, Daniel. Sign annulment papers. Walk away before the council brands you a conspirator. She pulled out a datapad. 1 fingerprint, that's all it takes. Daniel stared at the screen, then at Valana. His chest felt tight. She hadn't denied the video. She hadn't begged. She just stood there, quiet and proud, even while being accused. Was that strength or guilt? He reached for the pad. Valana blinked once, but instead of signing, Daniel flipped the datapad face down on the table. No, Ilara raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? I said no, he repeated. I won't end something based on edited footage and someone else's fear. He turned to Valana. Did you choose me for convenience? Valana's voice trembled. Yes, but I stayed because I saw something in you I never saw in anyone else. You listened. You looked at me like I wasn't just a weapon or a widow. Daniel nodded. Then I'd be a fool to give that up. Ilara's smile vanished. Then you've just chosen sides, Daniel. and I hope you're ready for the fallout." She stormed out of the room. As the door closed behind her, Valana slowly walked to Daniel. "You didn't have to defend me," she whispered. He sighed. "Maybe not, but I wanted to." Their bond mark glowed softly again. This time, it didn't fade. But Ilara didn't return to her quarters. She went deeper, into the old maintenance tunnels beneath Deck 7, and there, waiting in the dark, stood Torvak. "She still clings to him," Ilara said. Torvak nodded once. "Then we separate them the old way." Ilara hesitated. "You promised me protection if I delivered the footage." "You will have it," he said, "once she is mine again." Then he looked up, eyes burning cold. "Prepare the gas. We'll split their lungs before we split their hearts." The escape and the confession. The air felt wrong. Daniel noticed it first. As he and Valana walked back to their cabin, his chest grew heavier with each breath. Not tired, not sick. Thick. Like the air was alive. Valana stopped suddenly. Her eyes darted up to the vent overhead. Her alien senses sharpened. "Daniel," she whispered, "don't inhale. Too late." A faint hiss echoed through the hallway, barely a sound, but the gas, colorless, scentless, was already spreading. Valana grabbed his wrist and ran. Down the corridor, security lights flickered as if the station itself had been wounded. Emergency sirens stayed silent. No guards, no alerts. This wasn't an accident. It was a hit. "Where are we going?" Daniel choked, stumbling behind her. "Maintenance shaft 4B, Valana said. "It connects to a backup oxygen hub." They passed a door. She stopped and slammed her palm onto a hidden scanner, one only alien nobility could access. The wall slid open. Inside was a narrow tunnel, dark and cold. Daniel hesitated. Valana didn't. She pulled him inside. The wall sealed. Behind them, only the sound of their breathing remained. Minutes passed. Daniel leaned against the curved metal wall, panting, sweat rolling down his face. Valana knelt beside him and held a small crystal to his lips. It glowed faint blue. "Breathe," she ordered. "It'll purge the toxin." He coughed hard. Then again, and finally, his lungs started clearing. "Thanks," he muttered. "You keep saving my life." Valana looked away. "I brought this on us." Daniel turned to her. "No, you didn't. You just tried to survive. The people attacking us, they're the ones afraid of change." She didn't reply. She just stared into the dark. After an hour, the toxin levels dropped enough to move. Valana led Daniel into a hidden tech room deep below Deck 8. No one knew it existed, except those born into alien nobility. It was a war bunker, left over from a time when battles were fought hand to hand. Inside was a dusty cot, old lights, a dusty compad, and a warmth that didn't come from machines. Daniel collapsed onto the cot, exhausted. Valana sat across from him, the flickering glow of the wall panels lighting her silver markings. "I never wanted to marry again," she said quietly. Daniel blinked. "That's one way to start a conversation," Valana continued, her voice low. "I swore I wouldn't bind myself to another man, not after my first husband died, not after watching his blood run into the dust of the warfields." Daniel didn't interrupt. "I hated the idea of belonging to someone again, of being used, even if the man was kind." She paused. "But with you, I didn't feel owned. I felt safe. For the first time in my life." Daniel looked into her eyes. "Then why didn't you tell me all this earlier?" "Because I didn't trust myself," she admitted. "I didn't want to fall for someone who could walk away." Silence stretched between them. "I still can," Daniel said, almost like a challenge. Valana stood and walked toward him. "I know," she said, "but you haven't." She sat beside him. Close now. Her shoulder touched his. "I was raised to believe that emotions made us weak, but I'd rather be weak with you than strong alone. Daniel's heart pounded, not because of the gas, not because of the danger, but because he felt the same. He reached out slowly. Valana didn't pull away. Their hands touched. The bond marks on their wrists glowed, a deep, pulsing gold now. Not red, not blue, something new, a fusion, a real bond. At that same moment, deep in the shadowed cargo hold, Torvak stood over a holoscreen. He watched the glow rise between Valana and Daniel like a heartbeat. He slammed his fist against the screen, cracking it. They've sealed the bond, he growled. Soldier behind him stepped forward. Should we abort? Torvak turned, eyes burning. No. We hit harder. He lifted a beacon and smashed it against the ground. All ships, prepare for breach. I want her taken. And if the human stands in the way... He smiled darkly. Then, he dies as her last mistake. Back in the bunker, Valana rested her head against Daniel's chest. The danger hadn't passed. The storm hadn't faded. But for this one breath, for this one moment, they were no longer pretending. The bond that broke the law, the alarm finally sounded. Too late. By the time the security systems screamed through Arcadia Prime, the enemy was already inside. Cargo bay doors burst open, ships from the old blood clans, warriors loyal to Valana's dead husband, pierced through the spaceport like blades in soft flesh. Their armor was rusted but sharp. Their banners still bore the flame sigil of House Lightfire, twisted now into a symbol of vengeance. Torvak stood at the front, silent, watching the station crumble in slow motion. She chose wrong, he whispered. But I'll rewrite her fate. He stepped forward. In the hidden war bunker, Daniel tightened the straps of an old alien chest plate. It didn't fit perfectly, but it would do. Across from him, Valana finished sealing the backup comms. Link. The station's central grid was failing, sabotaged from the inside. There's no more hiding, she said. Daniel nodded. Good. I'm tired of running. She looked at him then, truly looked. Not as a soldier, not as a protector, but as something more. You could still leave, she said quietly. There's a way out through the waste tunnels. You'd survive. Daniel pulled the small crystal bond from his wrist and held it up. This thing keeps glowing every time I do something stupid for you, he said. I think I'll follow it one more time. Valana stepped forward. I need to say this before the world breaks. He waited. She placed her palm against his chest, right over his heart. I love you. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't desperate. It was honest. I know. Daniel whispered. I've known. They moved through the service shafts hand in hand until they reached the central chamber, where power, life support, and air control met, and waiting for them was Torvak, tall, armored in obsidian plates, his eyes glowing with ancient wrath. You were royalty, he said to Valana. You were ours, and you threw it all away for a pet. Daniel stepped forward. Say that again. Torvak grinned. You were her tool, her way out, her bed warmer with a passport. Daniel didn't hesitate. He fired the plasma bolt. It hit Torvak square in the chest, but the armor absorbed it like a laugh. Cute, the warrior snarled. Let me show you how royalty bleeds. He lunged. Daniel dodged, just barely. Torvak was faster than expected, more machine than man now. His strikes smashed through the wall behind them. Valana threw herself into the fight, her old instincts returning like fire in her veins. She blocked his next attack with a shield pulled from the console wall. Torvak roared. You bonded with him. He gave me what none of you ever did, she shouted, ducking a slash. What's that? A choice. The fight burned through the chamber. Sparks flew, pipes exploded, oxygen hissed into fire. Daniel was thrown against a wall, blood dripped from his forehead. He saw Valana falter, her strength failing. Torvak raised his blade high. Daniel didn't think. He tackled Torvak from behind. The blade missed Valana's chest by inches, but it cut through Daniel's side. He collapsed. Gasping, Valana screamed, No! She caught him as he fell, pulling him close. His breath was shallow, eyes blinking. "I told you," he whispered. One more time. Her bond mark flared, so bright it hurt. It pulsed, then exploded in a burst of gold light that filled the chamber like a second sunrise. The station systems flickered. All sensors picked up the spike. A full, complete soul bond, unbreakable. The council monitors lit up in red. Alarm shifted from invasion protocol to cultural override. A human and an alien had bonded beyond ritual, beyond law, at the cost of blood. Valana turned to Torvak, now stumbling. "In the light, you lost," she said. "I didn't break tradition, I rewrote it." She raised her palm. The bond mark, now fused into her skin, flared again, and the energy wave hit Torvak like divine judgment. He screamed as the force tore through his armor, his pride, and his past. He collapsed, silenced. Later, the council declared the attack a failed coup. The attackers were exiled, but the bigger shock was the declaration. For the first time in recorded galactic law, a cross-species bond was recognized not as an exception, but as a precedent. Valana and Daniel weren't symbols of rebellion. They were proof of evolution. Days passed. Daniel healed slowly, his side still wrapped. Valana stayed close. She barely left his side. In their new quarters, larger, warmer, and no longer under surveillance, Daniel looked out at the stars and smiled. "You ever think this all started with you falling at my feet, begging to warm my bed?" Valana rolled her eyes. "You bring that up one more time and I will exile you." He grinned. Yeah, Your Highness." She leaned down and kissed his forehead. "Don't call me that." "Then what should I call you?" She smiled softly. "Call me yours."